Alright, so if you're keeping score with what's happening in immigration, we've now got spike buoys and razor wire in and along the Gulf of Mexico, along with Border Patrol being told to push children and nursing babies back into the water. That's in addition to the border wall and an asylum policy that is intentionally obtuse, takes forever, and leaves people in danger. And it all kind of reminds me of that viral clip from Laura Ingraham a couple years ago when she was talking about our withdrawal from Afghanistan.
The lesson of this 20-year war cannot be that every time we turn a country upside down or make huge mistakes, our immigration laws, our refugee laws no longer apply.
This video is about immigration, but I want to talk about something that I don't see a lot of people talking about, which is the hand that my country has played in the decision that people are making to pack up and leave their country behind. But before I get into it, let me get a snack real quick. This ain't nothing fancy. It's just an acai bowl with some bananas, some blueberries, some strawberries, some granola, and some coconut on top. I actually tried to get it from Jamba Juice first, but when I went there, they didn't have the ingredients to make one, so I got this one from Just Poke. But you see, the thing is, if Jamba Juice has an issue with one of their suppliers, like say their banana supplier comes to them and they say, hey, you know what? A lot of our workers are living really rough right now. You know, a lot of them are facing starvation, homelessness, so we're gonna have to raise the cost of bananas by 50% to help give those people a better life. They would definitely look for another supplier, but in the interim you would expect their options to be either keep the prices the same and let the new cost of bananas eat into their profits a little bit, or pass the cost along to the consumer by raising prices. What you would probably not expect them to do would be find somebody that had a beef with that banana supplier, outfit them with a bunch of weapons and send them to violently overthrow the government of the country that banana supplier is in, and then install a dictator who will give you a favorable deal. But we did that for bananas. That whole scenario, we did that twice in 2 different countries. You can read a book about it. And those are just the times that we've helped install a dictator for bananas. It's not even getting into anything like the Banana Massacre in 1928 or any of the other atrocities that we have had a hand in for the sake of banana prices. Hey, it's me from the future trying to make a thumbnail for this video. And because I'm from the future, I can tell you that I forgot to mention that these bananas, which people were literally willing to unalive folks for and topple governments over, were called the Gros Michel banana. Due to a lack of genetic diversity, which made them extremely susceptible to disease, they almost went completely extinct. So in the 1960s, they were replaced with the Cavendish banana. This one was similar in appearance and taste, and more importantly, it was resistant to the strain that was causing Panama disease and making people have to burn all of their fields. I'm horrible at making thumbnails. The Gros Michel isn't completely extinct, and there are still people that grow the Gros Michel. That is a weird sentence to say. And if anyone is willing to send me the $97 for 3 to 5 pounds, I'd be happy to do a little taste test comparison for y'all. The way that you can donate is on screen right now. All right, back to the video. But not just bananas, we've also done it for minerals, to maintain control of a canal. We've tried to do it a few times for sugar and so many times for oil. Often backing people we definitely shouldn't have backed, who went on to not only turn the lives of their citizens into a dystopia, which has long-lasting effects to this very day, but also using the weapons that we armed them with against us. And the reason most often given for all of this direct and indirect interference has been to stop the spread of communism. But if you look at what these countries were actually trying to do, it wasn't communism. Most of these leaders were just trying to nationalize their country's biggest resources so they could use the profits from them to help enrich the lives of their people and lift many of them out of poverty. Take Bolivia, for example, who cut the amount of its citizens living in extreme poverty in half by nationalizing their oil and gas industries in 2006, as well as redistributing millions of acres of land to indigenous families who were farming them as sharecroppers. But instead of working with these governments on a deal that would actually benefit all parties involved, our government often prefers to cause long-lasting turmoil in exchange for short-term profits. And these coups, they're just the tip of the iceberg. You know how as kids we all got told that we needed to go to college if we wanted to be successful, so we all took out these massive loans, which we were told were fine because it's an investment in ourselves. It's totally going to pay off and allow us to live the lives that we always wanted to live, only to now have most of us be overworked, underpaid, facing crippling debt, and realizing that a lot of us are never going to achieve the same financial stability that our parents had. What if I told you you that our government has been running a version of that exact same scam in different developing countries for the past 70 plus years, swapping out the students that want an education with governments that want to better the lives of their people. They go to these places with the express purpose of exploiting people whose children are severely malnourished, even starving, people who live in shanty towns and have lost all hope of a better life. Modern slavers no longer march into the forest of Africa using guns, chains, and the terrible dungeons of slave ships to haul people to the auction blocks in Charleston, Cartagena, and Havana. Instead, they exploit desperate people. That quote I just read you is from a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, and let me just have John tell you what his job was.
I would go to countries with resources our corporations covet, like oil. I'd arrange a huge loan to those countries from the World Bank or its sister organizations, but the money wouldn't actually go to the country. It would go to our corporations, Bechtel, Halliburton, Brown and Root, familiar names, to build big infrastructure projects in those countries and incidentally make huge profits in the process. They'd build power plants and industrial parks, things that would benefit a few wealthy families in the country, the ones that own the industries. But the majority of the people would suffer. They would be left holding a huge debt they couldn't repay. So we'd go back and say, since you can't pay your debt, sell your resource, oil or whatever, real cheap to our corporations. Privatize. Sell your utilities, your schools, your jails, everything like that to our corporations. And Claudine also told me that if the leaders of these countries refused my offer, people she called jackals would be right behind me.
Now the beauty of, actually, is beauty the right word to use here? What makes this such a diabolical scheme is that it's being done with taxpayer money. These companies that employ people like John Perkins to go out and destabilize other countries so that we can exploit their people and their resources are government contractors. But if a journalist were to sniff out a scheme or some sort of scandal were to arise, the government has plausible deniability. It wasn't us, it was that company. It was corporate greed that did all that. We don't employ anybody over there. We didn't have any role in that. And it works. It works surprisingly well. For example, when that rocket from SpaceX blew up a few months ago, nobody was complaining about how their tax dollars were being spent.
SpaceX philosophy is more like fail fast, but learn faster. NASA is more like we can't afford to have anything explode while we're learning. we have to be ready to go. It's taxpayers' dollars. We got to get it right.
Except that it is taxpayer money, and it's always been taxpayer money. And the fact is, the company would have failed a long time ago if it weren't for taxpayer money. I'm supposed to be talking about immigrants. I mean, I'm talking about my least favorite immigrants, so I'm not too far off base.
To folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come.
So there have been these events, these clandestine and not so clandestine events that have decimated foreign economies, especially in Latin America, and have left people poor, exploited, hungry, facing civil unrest, or in other words, left with the conditions that would compel someone to want to pack up everything, leave their country behind, make a dangerous trip across hundreds of miles to start over again in a new country, one that might be reaping all of the rewards from their exploited labor and resources. And it is absolutely despicable to me that we could be the proximate cause for so many of the hardships that these people have faced, and then still have the audacity to make them crawl through razor wire and be refused water on some of the hottest days that Earth has ever experienced in the history of Earth. If anything, we need to be rolling out the welcome mat for these people, but you cannot complain that your neighbors keep on camping out in your backyard when you're the one that keeps on lighting their house on fire. Yo, what's good, YouTube? Thank you so much for watching that video. Hopefully you liked it. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about it. As I said before, I'm going to be making a lot more videos like that, not specifically around, you know, the subject of immigration, but more long form stuff along the lines of whatever rabbit hole that I fall down. I'm also going to be posting some of my older stuff that I didn't upload here because it didn't mesh with the linguistic style of content that I was making before, so be on the lookout for that. Again, thank y'all so much for watching that video. Hit the subscribe button if you like what I'm doing. Also, Patreon is there for y'all if y'all want to help support your boy, help him make some more of these videos and all that. And anyways, I appreciate the love and be on the lookout for more stuff. Deuces.